Hello and welcome back to Alex FPL. Today we'll be looking at the Game Week 6 deadline and fixtures, as well as the wildcard plan, who to buy and sell, team goal and clean sheet odds, as well as the goal scorer odds, followed by the latest injuries and team news, then my best captaincy picks, and finally the team selection going into the Game Week 6 deadline. On the right here, we can see the deadlines for Game Week 6, starting with Brentford versus Man United, the first fixture of the game week at 1:30. You'll see the times here is in CET. So for the UK, that would be 12:30. Then we've got a packed day on Saturday, followed by two games on Sunday, and closing out the game week with a Monday fixture of Everton versus West Ham. Apologies if this video was published a little later than usual. I wanted to make sure that I had really assessed all my options properly going into this video, because obviously it's important that I give you the most accurate information and the most accurate wildcard plan as well, which has changed a lot in the last 24 hours. So let's quickly go through my wildcard plan. So we're starting with Raya in goal. That one speaks for itself, really. Arsenal have a really good run of fixtures now, and Raya's nailed in this team. Then we've got Senesi, who has hit his DEFCON points in every single game so far, and he's got some really nice fixtures coming up, so he's a lock in my team as well. Gabriel, for the same reason as Raya, really good fixtures, and also we know he's a goal threat, so I don't love having a double up in defence, but if I was to do it with anyone, then Arsenal is probably the team that I'd be comfortable doing it with. And then closing out my defence, we have Van de Ven facing Wolves at home. He's also got a fantastic run of fixtures and is also a goal threat, especially from corners. So again, not a hard one for me to pick. Then going into the midfield, we have Saka. I'm not sure if I'll go with Saka or whether I'll go with Fernandes. For me, they're similar players in that I don't expect consistent returns every single game week. The reason I'm not sure about Saka is because of the fact that he's no longer on penalties, with those being given to Gyökeres now. And at 9.8 million, I'm not sure I can justify having Saka in my team. I might take him out, bring in Fernandes, who is 0.8 million cheaper, and use that fund elsewhere. Then we have Semenyo facing Leeds. He's definitely a lock in this team. Then we've got Ndiaye, similar to Saka. I'm not too sure about him. It's either going to be him, Xavi, or even Grealish, actually. The reason I think Ndiaye just makes it into the team versus Grealish is that Ndiaye is on penalties. But of course, I do think Grealish is more dangerous from open play. So I'll make a decision on that probably on the morning, just before the deadline. Followed by Reinders. Again, he's such a great cheap enabler. He's nailed in that team. And if you're watching Man City games, just seeing how far up he's playing. So again, he's definitely a lock for me. Foden was a last minute addition today. I wasn't really considering him until I looked at the stats on the last few games. He's been starting regularly. He's been scoring. He's been providing assists. And City have a decent run of fixtures. And we know what Foden can do. We've seen it in past seasons. So if he can regain even just a bit of form, I think he'll be a great differential. And given that my rank is not where I want it to be at this point in the season, I am relying a lot more on differentials in this team. So that also involves taking punts. Pep roulette will always be a problem. So I don't see Foden starting every single game, playing 90 minutes. But I think the upside is there. Then, of course, we have Haaland, who is my captain versus Burnley at home. I'm expecting a haul here. We do see a small warning sign saying that he's got a 75% chance of playing, but I've seen from the City ground, they've been publishing pictures from training, and he features heavily in those pictures. He doesn't seem to be bandaged up or anything. He looks in perfect form. So, and also I think there was a quote from Pep Guardiola saying that he's facing a little bit of fatigue, which is why we see that warning sign there. But yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. And finally, in my starting 11, we have João Pedro facing Brighton at home. Even more appealing, João Pedro, because of the news we got from Maresca that Palmer is out for the next 2 to 3 game weeks. So João Pedro's nailed. And not only that, he's actually my vice captain because I do like that fixture of Brighton at home. Then going through the bench, we have Dubravka, who's a 4 million playing goalkeeper. Voltemade, which I really, really like the look of. He's got Arsenal at home this game week, which is why he's on the bench. But after that, he's got a really good run of fixtures. He's on penalties as well. He's nailed in that team. And this is out for a while longer, so I don't think he's on any competition for that number 9 spot. And I like what I see from him so far. He looks like a striker that's ready to play in the Premier League. And then closing out on the bench, we have Goodmanson, who has had a really impressive start to the season with Leeds, apart from the own goal, which of course stung, but he has had the bonus points and clean sheets. So yeah, I definitely think he'll be in my team going into game week 6. Estev, I'm not sure about. I do have the funds to bring in a 4.5 million defender. So I'm looking at Anderson, who again is a DEFCON magnet and has some decent fixtures coming up. Now let's go through the most bought players this game week, starting with Haaland for obvious reasons. He's facing Burnley and he's got a really great run of fixtures. I think a lot of us are wildcarding as well, which would explain why so many of us are going for Haaland. Senesi as well. I did the same thing. I brought him in. Great run of fixtures. And I think the DEFCON points as well is something that is really attracting managers to him. Semenyo goes without saying. He's got a great start to the season. Reinders as well for what I explained earlier. Great enabler. Donnarumma is a great shout as well in goal. I personally prefer Raya just because they have slightly better defensive data, but Donnarumma is a great shout as well. Richarlison I don't love as a pick. I think there's too many attacking options for Spurs, and I think Richarlison will likely be benched or taken off early. So I'm personally not a big fan of that shout. Fernandez, he has scored 10 points twice in the last 3 game weeks. So I can see why people are going for him, and I'm very likely to bring him in instead of Saka. I'll leave that decision until the last minute. Gyökeres, I can see why people are going for him. He is on penalties, but just from a footballing perspective, having watched him play, I really, really don't like what I'm seeing. And I think it would stress me out to have that kind of player on my team. So I'm not going for him personally. Ndiaye as well, yeah, he's on my radar. Makes sense that he's in this list. Gravenberch, I feel like that's a bit of a punt. I know he's had a good game week, last game week, but I think that's a bit of a reaction just to one good game week. He's a defensive midfielder and he's not going to be scoring that many goals. So I was also not featuring this list, but also highly owned this game week is Isak. I think people are reacting to the fact that Ekitike is suspended for next game week. But let's not forget, he will be back and Isak will be competing for that number 9 spot again. So for that reason, I'm not looking at Isak. Now the players that are being sold, starting with Ekitike. Again, I do think if you own Ekitike and you're not playing a wild card, I think it's a bit of a knee jerk to take him out. I do understand why though, of course, as I said, he is facing competition with Isak. But yeah, if you're taking him out in a wild card, that makes complete sense. Otherwise, there might be other players you might want to focus on more in the immediate term. Salah, same for me. I've had to take him out. I don't love that decision. I do think he'll come good. He'll start hauling again, but I just can't afford to have Salah and Haaland in my team. So, for example, with the money I made from selling Salah, I was able to get an expensive midfielder like Saka or Fernandez alongside Foden, who I think combined will score more points than Salah. So that's, I think, the reason why we see Salah in this list. Sanchez, again, has been quite disappointing. The sending off as well has kind of cemented, I think, the decision of a lot of managers to take him out. Wirtz, again, he's had a really poor start to the season, hasn't really featured much in terms of not at all in terms of the goals and assists, and very little in terms of open play. I do think he will come good. I think he's a class player, but we are seeing a slow start to his adaptation to the Premier League. Palmer is injured for up to 3 game weeks, which is probably why he's here. Woods, I can see why people are transferring him out. We're seeing the new signings for Nottingham Forest come in quite heavily in the last few game weeks, so we're probably thinking that Wood is not as nailed as he was last season. Watkins, super disappointing. He does have a couple of decent fixtures, so if you're not playing a wild card, you might want to give him a couple more game weeks, but I totally understand why people are taking him out. And that leaves us with Gakpo, Gyökeres and Correa. Next, we have adapted market goal projections provided by Rob T FPL. So up top, we have Haaland, who is the most likely goal scorer in game week 6. Followed by Richarlison. Again, a word of warning, when this data comes in, it's on the assumption that all of these players play 90 minutes. Based on what we know from Richarlison, I don't think it's likely he'll play 90. Same with Wood, to be honest. I don't think he's a 90-minute player any longer. Then we have Salah, Isak, Beto, Watkins. It's funny to watch Watkins on this list. I really personally don't think he's that likely to score a goal given his recent form, but of course, at some point he will turn it around. Isak features on this list, and for once, I do think he will actually play 90 minutes because Ekitike is injured. Sorry, not injured, he's suspended. So of all game weeks, I do think this is the one Isak will likely play 90 minutes. Next, let's go through the injuries and team news going into game week 6. So as I've mentioned, Palmer is out for 2 to 3 game weeks, which has been confirmed by Maresca. Ekitike is suspended for this game week. Marmoush is still out. Reinildo picked up a really bad red card, and that's made him unavailable for the next 3 game weeks. Visser is still out with his long-term injury, and Sarr is unlikely for game week 6, but there is a possibility that it comes in off the bench and gets some minutes. Haaland is the obvious captain for this game week. I've given him 5 stars. And then the other options, I would say, are significantly less impressive than Haaland. We have João Pedro, Foden, and Semenyo all on 3 stars out of 5. Finally, let's close this video out with my team selection for game week 6. Of course, this is the wild card, so I won't spend too much time going through player by player because I've already talked about them earlier in the video. What I will say is my doubts going into game week 6. So on the morning of the deadline, Saturday morning, I will be reviewing the following players: Saka, Ndiaye, and Estev. Those are the 3 players that I think are likely to change in my thinking. I'm probably going to bring Saka down to Fernandes, and then with Ndiaye, I'm really tempted to bring Xavi in, but I do think that's my Spurs bias coming in. Grealish also looks really great from open play, and Estev, it's my third defender. It's my third bench player, so it doesn't really matter who I have there, which is why I went for Estev at 4 million. But if I want a deeper squad, especially for a bench boost, which I may play in game week 9 or 10, I might change Estev for Anderson. Well, that's it for this video. If you find it useful, please do like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.